My dear Junior 4 students, welcome back to our reader, Pirates of the Caribbean. And now we are going to start chapter 3 together. So please make sure that you have your readers with you and open with me page 10. This is the page as you can see, and this chapter is called The Island of the Plagostos. We are going to know what is this island and who are the Plagostos. Let's start reading together, and we're going to pause after some parts and I'm going to explain for you. Let's start reading.
Chapter 3. The Island of the Pelagostos. When Will Turner woke up, his hands and feet were tied. The islanders were carrying him towards some wooden houses. Finally, they put him down in front of a large chair. He looked up and smiled. A man was sitting on the chair, and it was Captain Jack Sparrow. "Jack Sparrow," Will said, "I am very happy to see you." Jack didn't answer. "Jack? Jack, it's me, Will Turner. Tell them to free me." Jack stepped down from his chair and spoke in a strange language. Will suddenly noticed the dead men's bones around the chair. "Jack, listen," Will said. "I need the compass. Elizabeth is in danger. We were arrested for helping you. She's going to die." One of the islanders pointed at Will's leg and hungrily touched his stomach. Jack smiled, and the men shouted happily. "No!" Will screamed. "Jack, what did you say to them?" But Jack didn't answer. He climbed back onto his chair and looked over Will's head. The men started to pull Will away. "They're going to prepare me for dinner," he thought. Jack suddenly looked down at Will. "Save me," the captain said quietly out of the corner of his mouth. The men threw Will into a cage full of men, chained to a rocky hill. Some of the sailors from the Black Pearl were prisoners in another cage. "Will, you shouldn't be here," Gibbs greeted him. "Why is this happening?" Will asked. He looked at the sailors. "Jack seems to be the chief." "Yes," Gibbs said sadly. "The Pelagostos made him their chief, and now they want to free his soul from his body. They're going to cook him and eat him." "Where are the other sailors from the Pearl?" Will asked. "Look more carefully at these cages," Gibbs said quietly. "The Pelagostos built them after we arrived." Will looked at the walls of his cage. They were made of bones. He quickly moved his hand away. "The meal starts when the sun goes down," Gibbs said seriously. "Jack's life will end when the music stops."
So here we are talking after Will Turner was caught by the Pelagostos, the islanders, the people who are living on this island where he found the Black Pearl, and he found that Captain Jack Sparrow is the leader of those islanders, the Pelagostos. Okay, and once he saw him, he kept shouting his name, "Jack Sparrow, this is me, I'm Will Turner. Please rescue me from those people." But Jack didn't listen to him, and he talked to the islanders, and he said something in a different language. And suddenly they started to scream and shout, and they were very happy. Will didn't know this is how they looked like when they were happy and screaming. As you can see, they wear bones around their necks, as we said, and they are coloring their faces. And this is where he saw Jack Sparrow. He was sitting, and he was the leader of those islanders. He was sitting on this throne. It looks like a throne, and a lot of dead bodies around him. And this is why Will was surprised to see Jack Sparrow sitting at this chair. And after these men were screaming, they started to get Will away, and they are going to prepare him for dinner. They put him into a cage, and this is how the cage looks like. He put him inside a cage, and it's made of bones with the other men from the Black Pearl, the other prisoners, and they were hanging from the hills, okay? They weren't on the floor. They let them hang. And when Will went with them, they told him, Will, why are you here? You shouldn't be here. And while Will, before they took him to the cage, Captain Jack Sparrow whispered in his ear, please save me. And Will didn't understand what's going on, but they took Will and they put him inside this cage. And this is how Will looked like when he was tied upside down to the rope here. This is how when he was talking to Captain Jack Sparrow and tell him to save him. Okay? And now, after he was inside the cage with the other men, Mr. Gibbs, this old man with the white beard, he told him that the Plagostos, they made Captain Jack Sparrow the chief, their chief, and they want to free his soul from his body. How are they going to free his soul from his body? Is that they are going to cook him and eat him. This is why Captain Jack Sparrow was whispering in Will's ears, please save me, because he didn't want to die, and he was afraid of the Pelagostos. This is why he asked Will to save him. He told him, where are the other sailors? He told him in the other cages. As you can see, they are hanging from another place. And they, as I told you, they were tied to this hill, a rocky hill. So he told them that they are going to kill Captain Jack Sparrow once the music stops. There was a music working, they were playing some music, and once this music is going to stop, they are going to kill Captain Jack Sparrow. Okay, let's complete reading together. Page 12.
In a small boat near the beach, two of Barbossa's pirates, Pintel and Ragetti, rowed with their backs to the sun. A dog with a ring of keys in its mouth was sitting at the end of the boat. Suddenly, the men saw the Black Pearl. "Look, there it is," Pintel cried. The dog jumped into the clear blue water and swam to the beach. Pintel looked up at the ship's black sails. "It's ours," he said greedily. Then they heard the sound of music through the trees. The music on the island grew louder as the Pelagostos prepared their big meal. Captain Jack Sparrow was their special guest and their main course. He tried to smile. The islanders placed a long, thin piece of wood above an unlit fire. Jack looked at it and turned away. "We need a bigger fire," he shouted in the language of the Pelagostos. "I am the chief. I need more wood. Big fire. More wood." The islanders hurried away in search of more wood. Jack waited until every man was gone. Then he ran and ran. When he arrived at a small house, a large man opened the door. Jack stepped back. "I'm not running away. No," he said. Soon he was tied to the long piece of wood over the unlit fire. The fire was now very big. "Nice work," he said. The Pelagostos smiled proudly. "Too nice," Jack thought to himself.
Okay, now at this part, the part that we read together, we were reading about Captain Jack Sparrow and the part where he was talking to the Pelagostos and they were preparing. We heard that there were two men from Captain Barbossa's crew, and they were going after Jack Sparrow, and they found the Black Pearl and they thought about stealing the Black Pearl. And once they went near the ship, they heard the music of the Pelagostos. And once the music started, the Pelagostos were putting Captain Jack Sparrow. They are going to tie him to a piece of wood over the fire, but this fire is not lit yet. So they tied him to the wood and they put him over the fire, and they are going to start the fire. But what did Jack do? He had a plan in mind. He told them that this wood is not enough. They need to bring more wood because he need a big fire. He told them that I am the chief, I deserve big fire, so go and get more wood. Once they all went away to get more wood, and he kept running, escaping from the islanders, the Pelagostos. One of them saw him running, and he told them, no, I'm not running away. I'm just looking for you guys. And soon he was tied to this long piece of wood, and he told them that's nice, very nice, because they got a lot of fire now. This is how Captain Jack Sparrow looks over the fire here. But now they didn't light the fire yet, but this is the stick that he was hanged on, and he was tied around the stick, and the fire was under him. Until now they didn't light the fire, but this is how it looks like. Okay, let's complete reading. We are now page 13.
The rocky hill, Will and the pirates waited in their bone cages. I must do something, Will said to himself. I must save Elizabeth. Try to move your cage, he shouted to the pirates. Move it toward the rocks. Then put your feet through the holes between the bones and try to climb the hill. Leech and the pirates in the other cage understood and started to move it slowly up the hill. But suddenly a guard saw them and screamed loudly. The music stopped. As Will and the men in his cage reached the top of the hill, the islanders ran toward them. They pulled the cage up around their legs and started to run. They had to find the black pearl fast. When the guard ran toward them, the Pelagostos were preparing to light the fire under Jack. The prisoners are trying to escape, he screamed. Follow them, Jack ordered. They mustn't escape. What shall we do? The Pelagostos islanders couldn't decide. Shall we light the fire or follow the other prisoners? We want to free our chief from his body, but he is telling us to leave. Finally, they decided to follow the other prisoners. But one man dropped a piece of burning wood, and suddenly the fire was burning under Jack. There was nothing that Jack could do about it. They're going to cook me, Captain Jack Sparrow, he said to himself. Jack finally escaped from the burning wood by throwing his body from one side to the other. Watched by a small boy, he jumped away from the fire and ran into the trees. The boy also ran into the forest and found the Pelagostos. Our chief is running away, he called. The islanders shouted angrily. They stopped following Jack's men and ran after Jack. Will and some of the pirates arrived on the beach and broke out of their cage. They didn't notice Pintel and Ragetti preparing the pearl. Excellent, Gibbs shouted. We can sail. I'm not going to leave without Jack, Will said. Gibbs suddenly pointed along the beach, and Will saw Jack. He was running down the beach with the Pelagostos close behind him. Jack, hurry, Gibbs shouted. Jack ran through the shallow water to the side of the pearl, and Gibbs pulled him onto the ship.
Okay, so now what happened is that Will Turner and the rest of the crew, they were put inside the bone cages, as I told you, and Will was thinking to himself, what can he do? And he decided that he will tell the other cages too that they have to swing the cage until they reach the cliff, and they have to start climbing. Okay, so this is how they were climbing up the cliff. They kept moving their cages until they reached the cliff. They put their legs outside the cage and they started to climb with the ropes that they are hanging from. They kept climbing like this, but one of the Pelagostos saw them and he was screaming. They are trying to escape, and those prisoners are trying to escape. And when Captain Jack Sparrow heard this, he told them, okay, leave me and go and follow them. But the Pelagostos didn't know what to do. They want to kill Captain Jack Sparrow to free his soul, as they believe. But at the same time, he ordered them to follow the prisoners. So what did they do? They left him and they are going after the prisoners. But the one who was carrying the fire, the stick of fire in his hand, he dropped this stick on the floor and the fire caught under Captain Jack Sparrow, like we saw here, and the fire started to burn out, and Captain Jack Sparrow is going to die. So what did he do? He kept moving his body up and down the stick until he was able to jump from over the stick. He kept running with this stick, and one of the Pelagostos, a little boy, saw him, and he ran to the Pelagostos and he told them, our chief is trying to escape. So they left the prisoners, Will and the crew. They left them to run away, and they went back to Captain Jack Sparrow to take him back and burn him. At this time, Will and the other pirates, they reached the beach and they broke the bone cages, and they saw Pentel and Rajiti, the two members from Captain Barbossa's team, that they were trying to steal the Blackbird. They found them over the ship and they told him, excellent, now you prepared the ship, we can sail. But Will said, I'm not going to leave without Captain Jack Sparrow, we have to save him. And they saw him running, trying to escape from the Pelagostos, like this picture as you see, and he was running towards the Black Pearl. They kept calling his name, Jack, hurry, we're waiting for you. Jack ran through the shallow water and he jumped onto the Black Pearl and they pulled him up. Okay, this is how chapter 3 ends. So let's now start chapter 4. It's called The Secret of the Dead Man's Chest. As I told you before, who is the dead man and what is this chest and what's inside the chest, we are going to know. Okay, let's listen.
Chapter 4. The Secret of the Dead Man's Chest. Jack Sparrow sat at the front of the Black Pearl. "Do you want us to sail away from the island?" Gibbs asked him. "Yes, but stay in shallow water," Jack replied. He opened his compass and looked at it carefully. Will Turner stood next to him. "Jack," he said quietly. "Not now," Jack answered, with his eyes still on the compass. "Jack, I need—" "Not now," Jack said angrily, reaching for his gun. Finally, he saw Will. "Oh, it's you." "Jack," Will said again, "I need that compass." "Why?" Jack asked. He looked at the compass again, then closed it. "I want to save Elizabeth," Will said. Jack shook his head. "I've heard those words before," he said. "We saved Elizabeth before. Why don't you watch her more carefully? Lock her up in a room." "She is locked up, in prison. She's going to die because she helped you." Jack started to climb up into the sails. "That isn't my problem," he said. Suddenly, he felt the cold touch of Will's sword at his neck. "Give me the compass, now. Then the English will stop looking for you." Jack said slowly, "All right. You get the compass and you save your pretty girl. What do I get?" "You'll be free. The English will stop searching for you," Will explained again. "I will give you the compass," Jack said slowly, "but You must find something for me. It's quite dangerous." He pulled the small piece of cloth out of his pocket. Will looked at the picture of the key on the cloth. "Is this going to save Elizabeth?" he asked. Jack put his mouth close to Will's ear. "How much do you know about Davy Jones?" he said very quietly. "Nothing," Will said. Jack smiled. "Yes," he said, "it's going to save Elizabeth."
Okay, so now at the beginning of chapter 4, it's a conversation between Will Turner and Jack Sparrow, and Jack Sparrow was looking at his compass, trying to know where is he going next after this island, the Tortuga, the island of the Plagostos, and Will Turner came to Jack Sparrow and he told him that he needs the compass to free Elizabeth. But Captain Jack Sparrow told him, "We already freed Elizabeth from, we freed her before," thinking about when she was taken by Captain Barbossa. He told him, "No, now she is in prison." And he told him, "Okay, why don't you pay more attention to her? Lock her up in a room or something so she doesn't escape every time." He told him, "She's in prison and we cannot get her out except if I take this compass back with me." But he told him, "This isn't my problem that you want to save her." He told him, "But you have to give me this compass so that I can give it back to the the officers at Port Royal, and they are going to stop following you." He told him, "Okay, I'm going to give you the compass, but I want you to get me something more dangerous." And he told him, "What is the thing that you want me to get for you?" He showed him the picture of the key that he had on a piece of cloth, and he told him, "I want you to get me that key." He told him, "Is this key going to save Elizabeth?" He told him, "Yes." And he told him, "Do you know who is Davy Jones?" Will Turner told him, "No, I don't know him." So he told him, "That's fine. No, it doesn't matter that you know him or not, but it's okay. I want you to help me to find this key so that you can go and save Elizabeth." Okay, now let's complete listening to the rest.
On the Edinburgh Trader, Elizabeth Swan, dressed in a sailor's clothes, was on her way to Tortuga. She was hoping to find Will, but Will was nowhere near Tortuga now. He, Jack Sparrow, and Jack's men were traveling down the Pantano River in 2 rowing boats. "Why is Jack so nervous?" Will asked Gibbs quietly. "He's made an enemy of Davy Jones," Gibbs said seriously. "He thinks that he's only safe on land. If he goes out onto the ocean, Davy Jones will take him." "Davy Jones?" "Well, he has a monster that works for him. The Kraken," Gibbs said. His voice shook. "It's terrible. It can pull a ship to the bottom of the ocean." Gibbs stopped, and Will saw the fear in his eyes. "Is Jack afraid to die?" asked Will. "Davy Jones doesn't kill you," Gibbs answered. "He punishes you. Think of the worst thing in the world. It's waiting for you in Davy Jones's world, and it never ends." "And the key will save him?" Will asked finally. "That's the question that Jack wants to answer. So he's going to visit her."
Okay, let's stop at this part and let's see. Now Elizabeth Swan was traveling on the Edinburgh trader ship, and she was dressing like a sailor as we said before, and she's looking now for Will Turner and Jack Sparrow at Tortuga, but they are way away from Tortuga. And Jack Sparrow was very nervous now. They are sailing, but they are still sailing in shallow water. He doesn't want to go in deep water so that Davy Jones and the Kraken cannot go and reach him. So Will said, "Why is Jack Sparrow nervous?" And Mr. Gibbs told him that he had an enemy now, which is Davy Jones, and he is not safe in the ocean. He is more safe on land. That's why we are sailing near the shores. If he goes out into the ocean, Davy Jones is going to take him. And he said that Davy Jones, he controls a monster under the sea. Its name is the Kraken. And it's a terrible monster. And he said that he told him, is Davy Jones going to kill Jack Sparrow? Is he afraid to die? He told him, Davy Jones doesn't kill you. He is not the person who kills other people. He just gives you a punishment. He punishes you in a way that is worse than being dead. So he can make you suffer your whole life, and you're not going to die, but you're going to suffer for the rest of your life. It's the worst thing that can happen for you. And he said that once you are locked inside Davy Jones's world, it will never end. You will be locked there forever. So he told him, and this key is going to save him from Davy Jones. He told him this is the question that Jack wants to answer, so he is going to visit her. Who is her? Let's listen together and we're going to know.
Her? Will asked nervously. Yes, her. The rowing boats stopped near a small wooden house high in a tree. There was a light outside the door. Don't worry, Jack called to the other men. He tried to speak happily. Tia, Dalma and I are old friends. I'll watch your back, Gibbs offered. I'm more worried about my front, Jack said quietly. As Jack climbed up into the house, the other pirates stayed close behind him. In the low light, they saw many strange animals in glass bottles. Ragetti touched his wooden eye when he noticed a bottle of eyes in a corner. Tia Dalma sat at a table in the shadows. She wasn't surprised by the visitors, because she could see into the future. She stood. Jack Sparrow, she said, I knew the wind would bring you back to me one day. Her eyes moved past Jack to Will. She smiled as she looked at him. I can see a great future for you, William Turner, she said, moving closer. Do you know me? Will asked. You want to know me, she replied. She looked into his eyes and pulled him close. Jack walked to Tia Dalma and pushed her back toward the table. We need your help, he said. Is Jack Sparrow asking for help? She asked, amused. It's not for me, Jack answered. It's for William. If you help me, I will help him. Tia Dalma smiled. How can I help you? How will you pay me? I will pay you with this, Jack said brightly. He took a wooden box from Pintel's hand. Inside was the monkey. Jack lifted his gun and shot it. The little monkey looked angrily at him. The pay is fair, Tia Dalma agreed. Her eyes moved again to Will. Jack passed the picture of the key to Will, and he quickly showed it to Tia Dalma.
Okay, so at this part here, we were talking about a new character in the story, which is Tia Dalma. Now they are going to visit Tia Dalma. She's like a witch who can see the future. So they are going to her to ask her about this key and what does this key unlock. Once they went inside, they saw many bottles full of many strange animals and strange things. Ragetti, he was a one-eyed pirate. He had one eye and he lost the other eye. He found a bottle with a lot of eyes, so he was very curious. Can he take one for himself? Tia Dalma, she sat down. She already knew that they are coming because she sees the future. And she welcomed Jack Sparrow, that she saw him again because she already met him in the first part, the part about Captain Barbossa. And now she saw Will Turner and she told him that you have a great future. And he told her, do you already know me? She told him, you would like to know me. Means that she's going to tell him many things about his future. He looked, Mr. Jack Sparrow looked at Tia Dalma and he told her, we need your help. And she said, are you asking me for help? He told her, yes, but it's not for me, the help, it's for Will. Because he knew that if he asked the help for himself, she wouldn't help him. But if it's for Will's sake, she's going to do it because she liked Will Turner. Okay, so he told her, no, that we need this help for Will Turner. He needs your help to find something. And she told him, okay, if you're going to ask for my help, you have to give me something in return. Like pay me back. He told her, okay, I'm going to give you a monkey. And she was surprised, what is this kind of thing that they are talking about? But this was, do you remember the cursed monkey of Captain Barbossa? The one that Captain Jack Sparrow shot and he didn't die because he was cursed? This is the monkey. He gave her this monkey since she is a collector for strange animals. He gave her the monkey and he told her, this monkey never dies. It's a cursed monkey. And I'm going to give it for you in return for your help to us. She told him, okay, this is a fair price. I'm going to accept. And she looked at Will again. And Will gave her the picture of the key. And they started asking her, what does this key unlock? Okay, so let's complete listening. And we're going to discuss together.
We are looking for this. What does it unlock? Will asked. Tia Dalma spoke to Jack. Your key opens a chest. What is inside the chest? Gibbs asked. Gold? Treasure? Pintel said, his voice full of hope. Nothing bad, I hope, Ragetti said nervously. Tia Dalma smiled at the pirates. Then she told her story. You know about Davy Jones, a man of the ocean, a great sailor, until he met man's biggest problem. What is man's biggest problem? Will asked her. The ocean, Gibbs said seriously. Tia Dalma shook her head. Adding numbers? Pintel said. Tia Dalma shook her head again. The difference between good and bad? Ragetti suggested. Everyone in the room looked at the one-eyed pirate and shook their heads. A woman, Jack said, ending the game. Tia Dalma smiled at the rough pirate. A woman. He fell in love, but his love brought great pain. He couldn't live with the pain, but he couldn't die. The pirates smiled sadly. They understood the story. Exactly what did he put into the chest? Will asked. He cut his heart out of his body and put it in a chest. He hid the chest from the world. He keeps the key with him at all times. Will finally understood. The key opened the chest that held Jones's heart. You knew this, Will said to Jack. No, I didn't, Jack said nervously. Well, I didn't know where the key was. Will didn't believe him. But now we know, Jack said smoothly. You can go on to Jones's ship, the Flying Dutchman, and take the key. Then you can go back to Port Royal and save your pretty girlfriend. Jack moved toward the door. Tia Dalma spoke before he opened it. Show me your hand, she said. Slowly, Jack untied the cloth. Tia Dalma looked carefully at the black mark. Gibbs saw the mark too. Pintel and Ragetti watched the old pirate turn in a circle 3 times for good luck. Not knowing why, they also turned 3 times. Tia Dalma moved across the room and climbed the stairs. At the top, she opened a great door. The sound of the ocean came quietly from outside it. Tia Dalma slowly closed the door and came down the stairs again. In her hands she carried a large bottle with a wide top that she gave to Jack. "Davy Jones can step on land only once every 10 years, she said to him. She put some earth into the bottle. "You are safe on land, Jack Sparrow, so carry the land with you." Jack looked into the bottle. "Is this bottle of earth really going to help me?" he asked. Tia Dalma reached out her hand for the bottle. "If you don't want it, give it back to me." "Now," Jack cried, and held the bottle to his chest. "Then it will help you," she said. Will looked at Tia Dalma. "We need to find Davy Jones and the Flying Dutchman," he said. Tia Dalma smiled at his young face, then sat at her table again. "I'll tell you where to go," she said.
Nice. Okay. Now that they are talking to Tia Dalma, she told them that they were asking her about Davy Jones and what is this chest, what does this key unlock. And Tia Dalma told them that it opens a chest, and when they said what's inside the chest, is it gold coins or is it a big treasure, she said nothing. She said that you know about Davy Jones, the man of the ocean. He is a great sailor and everything, but he met the man's biggest problem. And they said, what is this problem? She told them, they asked her, is it the ocean? Is it adding numbers? They didn't know what is the problem that he faced. So Captain Jack Sparrow told them it's a woman, means that he met a woman. Tia Dalma said that's right. He met a woman and he fell in love with her, but this love brought him great pain because he couldn't be with this woman, and he couldn't live with this pain, and he couldn't die since he is also cursed and he cannot die. So he couldn't do anything and he couldn't handle this pain. So what did he do? She said that he cut his heart out of his body and he put this heart inside the chest, and he hid the chest from the whole world, and that he keeps the key with him all the time. The key for this chest is kept with him all the time. He never leaves this key. So Will understood what's going on, and he told Jack Sparrow, "Do you already know this story?" Told him, "No, I don't know it." She said, "But now all of you already know what's going to happen." And he told her, so how, she said, "You can go onto Jones' ship, the Flying Dutchman, and take the key. Then you can go back." This is what Jack Sparrow is telling Will Turner. He told him that you can go over the ship of Captain Davy Jones and take the key from him, and that you can go back and save your Elizabeth. Okay, so now he was going towards the door, but Tia Dalma called him and she told him, "Show me your hand." He was putting a cloth around the black mark that Bootstrap put on his hand. If you remember, when he met Bootstrap, he take off a piece of cloth from around his hand and he showed her the black mark. And all the men, when they saw the black mark, they were very afraid and they kept turning in circles because they didn't know what to do. And she said, "Okay, wait for me." She went up and she got him a big bottle. Okay, this is the bottle that she got for Jack Sparrow. Okay, she got him this bottle and she told him, "Okay, keep this bottle with you. And this bottle contains earth." He told her, "Okay, what is this earth going to do to me?" Okay, she told him, since Davy Jones, he cannot step on land except once every 10 years. So if you cannot step on land, so you're going to carry the land with you, and this will keep you safe. Okay? So he told her, okay, this bottle is going to save my life. Are you sure? She told him, if you don't believe me, give me back my bottle. She told her, no, no, no. Okay, I believe you. I'm going to take it with me. And he said, we need to find Davy Jones. Where can we find him and the Flying Dutchman? Tia Dalma smiled and she told him, I'm going to tell you where to go. Okay, like this, we have finished chapter 4. What I want you to do now is that I want you to watch these videos. Okay, the first video is the video about the Pelagostos, the islanders, and how they have Captain Jack Sparrow as their chief, and how they caught Will Turner, and how they hanged him, and how Captain Jack Sparrow was able to escape, and how they were climbing the cliff with the cages. All the first part of chapter 3, you can see it in this video. Okay, and then you will see the other video. This is escaping from the islanders, when they all ran to the ship and Captain Jack Sparrow was running too. And this video is also very nice. After this, you have 2 videos about Tia Dalma. The first video when they gave her the monkey, and the second video when she gave them the bottle of earth. Once you watch these videos, it's going to make it more easy for you to understand those 2 chapters. Okay, make sure that you watch these videos, and after you watch those 2 videos, I want you to try to answer those 2 questions. Let's see them together. Okay, the first question here, those are questions about chapter 3 and 4, and he said here, comment fully. Who said this sentence? And he said it to whom? And what was the occasion that happened so that they said this sentence? I am the chief. I need more wood. Big fire, more wood. Can you remember who said this sentence? Yes, excellent. It was Captain Jack Sparrow, and he said that to who? Excellent. To the islanders, the Pelagostos. When did he say this? I want you to go read this part again and tell me, why did he tell them this, and what were they going to do to him, and how did he escape? Okay, this is for question 1. Question 2, he cut his heart out of his body and put it in a chest. He hid the chest from the world. He keeps the key with him all times. Who said this sentence? Who told them about the secret of Davy Jones? Excellent, Tia Dalma. And she said this to who? Yes, to Captain Jack Sparrow and to Will Turner. I want you now to read this part again, and I want you to explain what was the occasion. Why did she tell them that? And how is she going to help them? Okay, and what did they showed her? And the whole occasion, you have to mention it in this part. Okay, I just want you to make sure that you watch the videos I told you to watch, and to read the questions carefully and try to answer, especially after watching the videos and reading the chapters with me. See you next time. Bye. I love you so much.